Okay, so the first one is from Huzaifa. He says, do you have an email sequence for the AI answering service or lead management service? Yes, I sure do. Next. Um, Huzaifa, again, I've said before, I'm not going to share my sequences on Hump Day Hangouts. That's mastermind member material. Do we have those? Yes, we do. They're in the snapshots. They're already in the snapshots. So if you're talking about, like the nurture sequence, the sales sequence or email sequence for selling those services, yes, they're already in the the snapshots and the workflows, etc. So they're email snippets in high level. I've got a five email sequence for each one of those services. So there's four services. There's five email sequence for each of them, which is for after you get on the listing delivery call, which is the start of the sales conversation, depending on what you discuss with the contact and what you've determined as are the most relevant services to promote to them or to pitch to them, to offer to them. Then after you get off you can present them with the offer on the call if they're ready for it then. Many of them are not. That's my experience. Many of them aren't ready to check out right then and there on the call. If they are, by all means, you can send them the checkout link. But if they're not, then I tell them, hey, no problem. You don't have to decide right now. What we're going to do is, what the hell just happened? That was weird. Must have just been an update. Um, if they're not ready right then, I say hey, that's fine. You don't have to decide right now. If it's all right with you, what I want to do is send you a few emails over the next couple of days, specifically with more information about this service. And you can always reply back to me if you have any additional questions, or just click through and sign up whenever you want. There will be a link to the checkout page for the service in the email. And say, is that fair? Does that sound good? And I nod my head, and then they say, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I just plug them in. So as soon as we get off the call, then I go in and mark them with the tag as to which service it is that I'm going to plug them into the sequence. I don't want to plug them into more than one sequence at a time. They might be candidates, right? There might be multiple services that are relevant to them. But as I've talked about on previous Hump Day Hangouts, when there are multiple services, if they are not ready to subscribe to multiple services, which they typically are not, because they usually want to test one or two, like dip their toes into the water, so to speak, before jumping in, right? So typically what I will do then is then promote, even if multiple services would be relevant to them, I'm going to kind of push more on one of two services, depending on how the conversation went with them. And that is either going to be the review service or now the AI answering service. Those are my two primary services that I want to pitch, because those tend to have the quickest effect on the results, like for the business's bottom line, so to speak. Like, here's the thing with with the review service, we can get them results fairly quickly, and depending on their specific area and what the review counts and velocities are of their competitors. Typically with tree service contractors, in most cases, if I can get them with about 20 reviews in 7 to 10 days time frame, then we're usually going to see a significant lift in maps. Like, in other words, a significant ranking performance boost, a ranking gain in maps search, right? Which gives them more exposure. They can see the review count go up fairly rapidly. And so that's tangible. It's something they can see. And it typically will, and in the local search grid report, it usually will show significant maps ranking improvement, plus like coverage area will typically expand a bit too. And so that's something that is very tangible, that we can show very quick results through the initial review request campaign from a customer list, which I will ask them on the call. Do they have an existing customer list that we can import to immediately reach out for review requests, right? But then any new job that they close from the point that we start the reviews campaign going forward, after that, then what I do is there's a landing page set up on a branded subdomain for them, that then the contractor or somebody at his company will go to that page URL at the end of every job or at the end of every day, and then submit. It's just a form that says first name, last name, phone number, email. That's it. And they just submit the customers' names for any of the jobs that they closed that day. And what that does is automatically adds them into the review campaign. So I do the review campaign or the AI answering service, because the AI answering service, if the company already has a decent online presence, they have a decent lead volume, like lead volume, they might not be closing a lot of leads, but they have decent lead volume. Then in the conversation, if we get to the bottom of like what are some of the issues that they're facing in their company, right, which might be that they're not following up with leads, so they have good lead volume, but they're not closing a lot of them because they're being beaten out by competitors because they're not following up in a timely manner and things like that, then an answering service may be the better option. And so I might pitch them on the answering service instead of doing any additional marketing. Because if they've already got a decent presence and they've got a decent lead volume, but they're having trouble closing jobs and because of inefficiencies and how they follow up and manage those leads, then one of the first things I want to pitch to them is an answering service, because that is typically going to reduce the number of calls that they get significantly, because now the calls all go to an AI answering service. It reduces the annoyance from spam calls, robocalls, solicitation calls, etc. It also usually helps them to secure more leads, like convert more leads into actual booked estimate requests or quote requests. Do you understand? Because instead of having the phone calls go to voicemail and then the consumer, the contact that called the company to request an estimate will typically, when they get a voicemail, go, they might leave a voicemail message, they may not, but even if they leave a voicemail message, they're typically going to call the next company in wherever search venue they were using, right? Because they typically they want to close that loop now, right? Instead of leaving a message and then saying, oh, well, I'll just wait for them to call me back. They're usually like, okay, I left a message, but I'm going to call the next contractor, try to get this estimate scheduled, if that makes sense. So when customers call an AI answering service, they get that closure right away, which is, okay, my information has been submitted. I'm going to receive a call back from the estimator to schedule it. And so that's why I'm saying those are the two primary services that I'm typically going to push now, because AI answering service wasn't something that I could have even pushed a month ago or 6 weeks ago because it wasn't ready. But now it is. Does that make sense? So do I have answering service or sequences for that? Yes, I do. They're in the mastermind. They're 100% available to anybody in the mastermind. So come get them over there. Okay.